My name is Jules Heningburg, and you're listening to Pro Lacrosse Talk.
On Schreiber. Sidearm whip! Scores!
Now in front. Fidel scores! Ball Rabel. Splits two and scores!
Kylie O'Miller showing off those shifty skills.
Kelly, not shy, bounces one home. What a start!
Welcome to the Pro Lacrosse Talk podcast. I'm Hutton, he's Adam. Together we have all the latest news from all your favorite professional lacrosse leagues. Welcome everyone to the first in-person episode of Pro Lacrosse Talk. I'm here with PLL All-Star and Redwoods attackman, Jules Heningburg. Jules, thank you for joining me for episode 12.
I'm excited to be here.
I appreciate you having me. We're in northern New Jersey now. You attended Columbia High School for 2 seasons. You've talked in the past about how Maplewood legend Bobby Bianchi was one of the reasons you wear number 7. He played with your father, Gus Heningburg. He also played lacrosse at the Naval Academy. He'd served in the Navy until his tragic death in a helicopter crash in 1987. But how did his story influence you and your high school lacrosse career?
Yeah, so when I was younger, we played for, like all the guys in our town, played a rec team called Maplewood Lacrosse Club, obviously in Maplewood, and it was one of the few clubs that have been around for a long time. So when I think it was in 5th grade, we celebrated the 50th year anniversary of the club. So it was one of the first ones established with another club, Montclair, which is a couple towns over. So growing up, there was a huge tradition in our town with lacrosse, and one of the things that they kind of celebrated was number 7. So when you were growing up, that jersey, you couldn't wear it. So it was a really special thing in our town. So when you first started playing, or when any of the guys are around, they'd ask about, oh, what number 7? And you kind of hear the story, the tradition, the history of what number 7 meant, and who Bobby Bianchi was, and how much he did for the lacrosse community of Maplewood, and how influential he was in so many people's lives. And during that time that he was alive in Maplewood and playing for Columbia, it was one of those times where, if you were around, it was similar, I think, to what you think of like Texas football.
Yep.
One of those cultures where everyone's just involved. The whole town is behind the team, and everyone just loves the guys, loves just the pride and tradition of what's going on. So to hear that growing up and hear how awesome it was to be a part of, and hear the leader of that was Bobby Bianchi, and the type of character he had and the player he was, that was just something when I was younger that kind of stuck with me, and I always strive to kind of try to be that and want to be number 7. So when I was younger, like I said, it stuck with me, and then it kind of just carried on through high school, and I wore number 4 in high school and number 6 because you couldn't wear number 7. And when I got to college, it was just one of those things where I was like, number 7's available. I want to honor that legacy and honor someone that really inspired me to have a passion for the game and a love for the game, something to strive for, someone to try to beat. I always heard about his stats and how much he meant and how good he was. So it was just someone I looked up to a lot, and I didn't even know him, which is the crazy part. I just heard the stories about him, the history, the tradition of him. So it was just someone I always wanted to strive to be. And like I said, when I got to Rutgers, I picked number 7 and kind of just carried that on through the pro ranks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and you mentioned Bianchi was a local guy, and you actually you did really well when you transferred to Seton Hall Prep. You were All-American, high school All-American, but you were under-recruited a little bit. But you did stay at home. You played at Rutgers. Did you have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, being under-recruited out of high school?
Yeah, I think the recruiting circuit for me was a little bit weird, just because I didn't understand it, what I should have been doing exactly. I wasn't in the clique of lacrosse. I think you can kind of say I was kind of an outsider. So when I was a junior, sophomore, my apologies, I was sitting in class, and I remember just seeing on Twitter a bunch of guys starting to commit to schools, and I was very confused because I didn't know that anyone was trying to get recruited yet, and that they had actually just bumped the timeline up a year earlier from what I thought it was, which was rising junior year. So I didn't really get recruited by too many schools that summer because I wasn't trying to get recruited, and I wasn't playing serious club ball. So then I came back my junior year. I got recruited by Rutgers and a couple other schools, but it was kind of a situation where I definitely needed the money financially. I was gonna have to pay for college on my own. So I looked at schools that I could afford on myself. So Navy was one of my final choices, which was going to be free, and then Delaware was going to be pretty cheap as well, and then Rutgers, obviously. And it was one of those things where Coach Brecht, he sold me on the fact that I could come in there and I'd have the chance to start as a freshman and have the chance to change the program and change the culture. He really believed I could do that. And personally, that was something I felt strongly about. I felt I had something in me that was telling me that I could do that as well. So I kind of followed through with that and went on to Rutgers. And I had hoped that it would help, kind of translate a little bit more in terms of the recruiting and seeing more New Jersey guys go there. Just because I think there's a bit of a stigma attached to Rutgers with the New Jersey lacrosse circuit and the kids that are from here. And I just think guys kind of look down upon it. Look, maybe it's not the best school. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. So I look to kind of change that a little bit. And I think we've still struggled so far a little bit trying to get the top New Jersey recruits. So I hope, the legacy that we left there and what we try to build there can continue to get those New Jersey kids to commit there.
That's great. I mean, you made some noise. I mean, you were ranked, top 10 multiple times there. You came away with 207 points, which ranks second all time at Rutgers. So you certainly made some noise, as a freshman, and then continue through your senior season. And then, you got drafted professionally. You're with the Seals now. And Paul, just came up with the Premier Lacrosse League. What kind of got you on board, joining, the movement to start this new professional lacrosse league, and what got you excited about it? And did you have any doubts going into it as well?
Yeah, I think it kind of translates back to how I was recruited. I think I bet on myself a lot in terms of what I think I can do, and was presented with the opportunity with the PLL, and I saw a lot of different things that were put on the table. Playing with the best players in the world, the attention it could bring in terms of the media, and building my own personal brand in the sport. And I want to do big things in the sport, so I knew that in the back of my mind that if they wanted to take a jump to that next level, that I had to be a part of that league. And I really never had any doubts about it, just because I trust the guys that started it, and they've paved the way, and they've been in this game for a long time, so they've seen a lot of stuff, and they really know how things work. And I at the end of the day, I think playing against the best players is what you want to do as a competitor. So I knew that the best players were going to be playing there, and that's what I wanted to do. So just being able to prove myself every week, and playing with the best guys on game day, and with the national media attention we're getting, I don't think you can beat that. And I knew deep down that that's what it was going to be. So it was pretty much a no-brainer for me.
Awesome. Yeah, and going off of that, I mean, you've been asked about a lot. You were on the Whip Snakes initially, and you got traded. You were the first trade to the Redwoods. Tell me about that experience. Did you kind of have a chip on your shoulder for that? It's kind of like, again, you were a big part of the Whip Snakes, but they weren't utilizing you as much. You go to the Redwoods, where you get that chance to be that number one guy on attack. Did you see that as an opportunity? Did you kind of play with a chip on your shoulder? Or did you kind of just go out and play lacrosse like you always have?
Yes, I think for me, I think there's always something to the story. The day I got traded, I saw my coach calling me. I knew right away. I played well the last week, so I knew that he wasn't going to bench me. That's each week, guys will compete for roster spots, so you never really know. But I knew that I played a good game, so I was a little skeptical as if I was going to get benched. So I kind of knew, I had a thought in the back of my head that I was getting traded. I know the week it just opened up the trade block, so it's tough getting traded. You never want that to happen. At the end of the day, it worked out well for me, and I know that both my coaches had my best interest in mind. But you still kind of feel a bit unwanted. No matter how you really cut it. So just leaving that team, we were undefeated, the best team in the league at that time. It was tough for me. I built a lot of relationships, but it's been awesome playing for Coach Nat, Coach Dom, Todd over on our team for the Redwoods now, getting to know the new guys. There's a couple guys I already knew on that team, and we're doing well so far. We're building a lot of chemistry on offense, and I think we're getting better each week. And I'm just excited to kind of keep developing those relationships with those guys, and keep competing and bringing to the table what I can do every week.
Absolutely. The first game in the Redwoods, you went off. You had 5 goals, 3 assists. Coach St. Laurent, did he talk to you a little bit about bringing you on, and talk to you about their philosophy going into it? And what kind of led you to buy into that?
Yeah, definitely. So we played the Redwoods in training camp. So I played well against them. I think Coach Nat, saw me there and saw a little bit of my potential. And I know he saw me play before, saw me play in college, saw me playing last year's Pro League. So I think they kind of had an idea of what I could bring to the table and my potential, like I said. So when I spoke to him on the phone, he kind of let me know what they expected out of me, and why they traded for me, and how they thought of me. So kind of coming into game day, I always expect myself to play, up there 90 percentile of my potential every time I step on the field. That's the goal. You're never going to play your best every time, but that's my goal. I prepare to do that, and I know what I bring to the table, and I think a lot of people may not know that about me, or before may have not known, my skill sets or what my potential was, but deep down I always know what I bring to the table. And I think Coach Nat and Coach Dom saw what I saw in myself, and they gave me the opportunity, afforded me the opportunity to kind of show the rest of the world, lacrosse space, what that was. So we were kind of on the same page about my skill sets and my abilities and what I'm able to do, and they just opened the floodgates to do what you got to do, man. Help us win games and be the player you are. So that's kind of what happened.
No, you certainly did. Let's talk about your business a little bit. You really pride yourself in your dodging ability. So you started Juke Lab. How's it been, running your own business? And have you considered changing your name from Jules to Jukes at any point?
So I think the Juke Lab stuff, it kind of started off. I love just teaching the game and really having a full grasp on why things work and why you should be doing certain things on the field. That's just kind of how my mind's always worked and how I've learned. So I've kind of taken that mindset and some of the things that coaches have taught me and my observations of how people have dodged over the years and kind of turned that into my own way of teaching. So, it started with the Juke Lab, and it was kind of a running joke on with the guys and on the teams I've been playing on and stuff. But I think it's kind of started to catch on when people have seen me play more and seen like my dodging ability and what I can do, breaking down defenders one-on-one. And so now that it's starting to catch fire a little bit, so guys are seeing that, and then players are seeing that, hey, like if I can dodge like that, I'll be able to get open. So my whole philosophy with it is just being deliberate about your movements on the field and having intentional movements. So I think a lot of kids when they grow up, kind of just dodge just to dodge. And I was the same way in high school and early in college. I would just do things, not really having a plan of action or an understanding of why things were working and why things weren't working. And so sometimes you'd be successful, sometimes you wouldn't. So I think that kind of switching that train of thought to having a plan, and either you're going to be successful with the execution of the plan, it's going to work, or you're going to, kind of half-ass it, or you're going to be tired or not fully commit to the move, and it's not going to work. And I think once kids kind of grasp that and wrap their head around it, then they're more in control of their dodges and their abilities to get open. So I'm kind of trying to teach kids that and get them to understand that a little bit more, because I know that's what helped me. And I think people are seeing now that I get open a lot one-on-one. And the reason is I learned that you have to have a plan of action, and then once you commit to it and really try to make it work, then you can go to your kind of second level, those reactionary movements and the secondary dodges in your plan, your arsenal.
You can tell when you dodge, like you're really intentional about, like you said, where you're going, whether it's from X or even from the wing as well. You don't take any extra steps, and you can kind of tell that in the way you play. So I think that's, interesting. The cool thing about lacrosse is that we're starting to get, more athleticism into the game. Not that it wasn't there before, but, we have guys like you that are really thinking about how you can gain an edge, whether it's footwork or, putting the extra work in the weight room. So I think that's important, definitely from a youth perspective.
For sure.
So let's talk a little bit about the Seals. You were drafted on the NLL expansion team, the Seals. I mean, how's it been, being in San Diego? I've never been, but, I heard the weather out there is probably better than it is on the East Coast right now. So
yeah, it's amazing. The weather out there, it's sunny every day pretty much. It's about 70 degrees to 80 degrees for the most part. And just the community out there is awesome. It was our first year with San Diego. Kind of had to build up, the lacrosse brand a little bit out there, and I think people really took to it. So it was exciting to be a part of that team. I didn't play too much, just being on the practice roster. I got in for one game. I actually got kicked out of that game. I got in, and but
you had a goal though, right?
Yeah, I scored a goal, but it was to learn from the guys I did. Had pretty legends of the game that I didn't even know were legends before I started playing box. Guys like Garrett Billings, Dan Dawson, Kyle Buchanan on the right side, just to name a couple guys, and the coaching staff. It was an unbelievable experience, and I had a great time. I'm excited to get back there next year. Keep playing the game. I think it's helped me immensely out on the field. At first, I was a little wary about how it was going to translate in training camp early on, but now that I've been playing a little bit, you kind of readjust to the field game. I've seen a lot of different little tweaks to my game that have really helped me a lot. And so I was grateful for the experience, and I definitely want to continue playing box for as long as I can.
Yeah, it's awesome, because you hadn't played before, had you?
No.
And we talked to Tom Schreiber about that a little bit too, how, it's like you're already at one level, but you kind of add to your arsenal by, experiencing the box game. So I think that's awesome that, it's kind of helping you in your field game, but it's probably, the field game probably helps a little bit too in your box game as well.
Being an athlete in the box definitely helps.
Yeah, for sure. So going off of that, I have to notice you have 56 tattooed to your arm. What's the meaning behind that? Tell me a little bit about that story.
Yeah, so I 56. The rest of my family and my cousin, we got this tattooed on us. It actually represents my cousin, Max Holloway. He wore 56 at Boston College, and he tragically passed away in a car accident my junior year. And when we were growing up, my cousins, both of them played Division I football, Boston College in Maryland. Their dad, Brian Holloway, was an NFL Pro Bowler, excellent player, had a great career in the Patriots and the Raiders, and we would always go up to their house for the summers and stuff, and we call it Farm Brian. We'd go up there and train and just stay up there for a month and kind of just hang out and learn what it was like to experience those guys. They're at that time were getting recruited / playing Division I football, so it was awesome to be a young kid, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, seeing these guys train and seeing these guys, how much they cared, how much passion they had, and what they did to get to that level. So it was kind of something for us to look up to and aspire to be. So it was definitely heartbreaking when that happened, and it kind of makes you look back on your experiences and really think about what you cared about and what things meant to you. So it was definitely a no-brainer for me to get him tattooed, just because I look back on it and how much seeing him and what he had to do and his brother and that side of the family, what they did, it inspired me in so many different ways as a young kid that you may not think about at the time when you're a young guy. So I got this tattoo, just to have that memory, just to kind of carry that legacy on and never forget him.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, it's kind of nice to touch on family a little bit because I think that's the nice thing about lacrosse community is we're a close-knit community, very family-oriented. Obviously it's a tragedy what happened to your cousin, but that you are able to honor his legacy in that way. So I thought I'd ask because, I don't know if anybody really has touched on that before.
Yeah, for sure. No.
Great. Going off that a little bit, we're in the bye week right now. Only 3 more games left in the season. You guys are sitting 4-3. How has Coach St. Laurent kind of gotten you guys to refocus going into the last stretch of the season, and what are your expectations for the end of this PLL season?
Yeah, so we obviously just had a tough loss to Atlas. I think they're blowing us out. I think the biggest goal differential has been so far this season, and just goes to show how competitive this league really is. And you can't take any games off just because you have the best players in the world competing at the highest level every week. So that was a wake-up call for us, I think, in a number of ways. I think it also just showed our vulnerability a little bit and humbled us. I think our defense has played amazing all year. I think they had a tough go a little bit, and some penalties, that maybe weren't warranted and kind of just affected the momentum. We've had some injuries with the face-off X as well, and I think Timmy Troutner had his first game where, didn't play like an all-star. So I think a lot of different things affected that game, but I think it's just a little bump in the road that, a little bit of refocusing with the bye week. I think we're right there in terms of the playoff stretch and making a run at this championship. And I'm excited. Another bye week just gives us a chance to rest our bodies, keep training hard, keep getting in shape, keep working on our stick skills. And I think we're going to come back and I don't know if it's going to be a surprise, but I think people, maybe after watching that game saw how big of a blowout it was to start. I think people may be a little concerned about us, but I think people will be a little bit surprised when we come back next week.
Yeah, well, you never wavered. I think you guys will be fine going into the last stretch of the season. So with that, let's segue into our question mark, which is our segment where we ask questions that fans have submitted to us. So the first one I want to ask is, were you more nervous at the beginning of the PLL season or when you started with your Redwoods team?
I think beginning of the PLL season, just because the game itself was different. We shortened the field, shorter shot clock. You're playing with a new team. Everything's so different, and the media attention, all that stuff's a lot of things that you have to mentally prepare for and really take in. And I think that in those first couple games, it was definitely a little. I don't say nervous is the right word, but it was all new to me, so it was different. So, and I think that it was an adjustment for everyone. I think now that you're seeing guys are in the swing of things, and everything's kind of getting easier in terms of the mental side of it. Walking out into a stadium with 7,000, 8,000, 10,000 people is different than walking to a stadium with 500 people. So it's adjustments like that maybe you don't think about as a fan, but you have to really account for as a player.
Yeah, no, definitely. So Mark White asks, what is your favorite part of the professional lacrosse lifestyle, and what is your least favorite?
My favorite part is the fact that I get to compete every weekend with a team that I love, playing with the guys and being in the locker room. That it's just one of those things that as an athlete, you can't recreate it. So I love that part of it. I love the freedom of my lifestyle. I think I make my own hours. I do my own work. I control my own destiny in terms of what I want to do in my career. So I think that's awesome. I think one of the negative aspects is the travel. It can be a lot on your body. I've been traveling every week for the whole summer. Outside of the games, I travel every week pretty much. So you're not in your actual hometown as much, just being able to sit down and relax, have a drink, have some coffee, have some dinner, and not think about traveling too much. So that's a little bit taxing. And other than that, not too many negatives.
Yeah, awesome. So Sequoia Squad, he's one of the fan accounts for the Redwoods. He wants to know which one of your Redwoods teammates is the funniest.
I don't want to say it. I don't want to give him the credit, but Nick Lacella.
Okay.
He's probably the funniest.
You guys had a little bit of a scuffle in training camp, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the heat of the moment, being a competitor.
Yeah, no.
It wasn't even him that hit me. It was Landis. It was also my boy. So it's all fun.
That's great. Preston Weaver asks, what's the travel schedule like? Typical travel day, and how are your pregame days before your walkthroughs? Kind of you touched on a little bit, but
yeah. So I think we traveled. I started the traveling on 2 days before because I was going from West Coast to East Coast.
Okay.
Before, so it was tough to go West Coast to East Coast on a Friday, and I was flying out like 5 a.m. Getting there. Yeah. If you had a layover, you're screwed.
Yeah.
And then you're getting in. Practice at 6:30. I'm getting in at 4:35, depending on how far the airport is. Dropping my bag, and sometimes not even dropping my bag, just going right to practice.
Yeah.
And my nervous system's just not functioning properly. So you go into practice, your body's just not there, and then quick turnaround, go to sleep, get your superfood, which they provide for us. Great service. We get little catered meals,
Awesome.
super healthy. And then come game day, we wake up in the morning. You have breakfast with your team downstairs, and then you have some time to yourself, and you head to the locker room on the bus, and you get to the game.
Awesome. Dan Arestia asks, when is Rutgers finally going to be on the right side of the NCAA tournament bubble? You guys have barely missed out. I don't know if they need to add more teams or Rutgers needs to get the respect they deserve, but what do you think?
I think I don't think they need to add any more teams. I think that would just dilute the playing field and kind of just. I think if you look at the other sports in NCAA, like basketball, I think the percentages are correct.
Yep.
The amount of teams that play to the teams that make the tournament. I think it's just a matter of just getting the right recruits there. Mm-hmm. I think I had a great class. We came in and we had a huge chip on our shoulders, and I think we might have exceeded expectations in terms of across the country what people thought we could do. I think there we knew what we had, and we just happened to have a great collection of players. And we had some injuries that were tough on us. That I think other teams have a lot more depth. If a guy goes down or if something happens, where for us it's more of a sink or swim mentality. The guys we have on game day are the guys we have on game day, and we all have to play at our highest level to beat those top teams, which we often did. And that's a lot to ask for out of anyone. And I think not everyone's cut out to do that. So I think the guys that are there now are working to have a comeback season this year. There's a little bit of a down year last year, but they're a young team and new coaching staff, a lot of new different things. I think Adam Charlambidi is on the offensive side and Kieran Mullins kind of leading the way there, two of the best attackmen in the country. And I think you get a couple of transfers in, you get a face-off guy, and I think we'll be in good shape.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the Big Ten's stacked. There's no easy team in that conference, so it's definitely tough. But, I think it's awesome to see like some of these programs like a Penn State that's actually having so much success where it's kind of evening the playing field against these traditional schools like Syracuse, Hopkins and stuff. So it's good for the sport for sure. So Eggsy asks, is our last one, how do you think the PLL has set you up to establish a brand within the sporting world?
I think just the way that they go about their media and how they deliver it to the fans, and then how they also give it to the players has really helped us. I think one of the things that the sport lacked was that kind of that connection, that fluidity between the league and the players. I think they kind of bridge that gap. And I think you see it on social media, the campaigns with the players, and when the game's over, guys have an Instagram up from right away, or something on Twitter, like a highlight retweet, whatever it is, and that instant kind of interaction with the fans, that's the connection that delivers that that loyalty to the fans and keeps them coming back, and then in turn help build our brand because we're interacting with them, and it's that cohesive relationship, and that's all because the league invested in that and believed that was important to us. Not only to us but to them, because the bigger our brands get, the bigger the league gets, the bigger league gets, the bigger we get. So it's kind of that symbiotic relationship. And I think they've done an excellent job. They have a lot of different applications and ways that they go about it. And there's a small team, but they absolutely crush it every weekend. I think you've seen their Instagram is almost 200,000 followers, and we just started this year. It just shows the trajectory of the league and what they're doing, and it's exciting to be a part of. Exciting to be a young player right now. In 10 years, who knows where this league will be, and I think I'll be in my prime. So it's exciting.
Paul's not just a lacrosse player; he's a savvy businessman, and I think they're doing some great stuff. So that's a good fan question we have. Now we have our 5 and 5. We're going to do a Jersey edition. It's a quick segment where I'm going to ask you 5 questions about lacrosse, and then 5 just about life in general. But they're all going to be tying to New Jersey somehow. So let's start off with the lacrosse ones. The first one is favorite lacrosse moment from Rutgers.
Being Penn State sophomore year. There you
go. Next, what's an attribute or trait that sets Jersey lacrosse players apart from other players?
Blue collar.
Blue collar, all right. Yeah. Which of these Jersey natives and current pro athletes do you think would make the best lacrosse player? You got Mike Trout, Greg Olson, or Kyrie Irving?
Kyrie Irving. Yeah.
Why? Yeah.
Just the way he moves on the basketball court, his IQ, his vision. I think everything would directly translate to lacrosse.
All right. I agree. When will the jersey, Jules Redwoods jersey, be available on the Premier Lacrosse website?
I don't know. Some kid just commented on Instagram asking about that. I don't know.
Soon. You got to make it happen, Premier Lacrosse.
It's not in my control.
All right, this one's a bit of a cheat. But jerseys tucked into the shorts, are you out or are you in?
Landis rocks it on my team. I think it's swaggy. I'm not on it yet, but I might be soon.
I'm wondering if it's going to be kind of like the mid-calves flow of lacrosse, kind of like When I was going through high school or whatever, like everyone had long hair and they rocked the mid-calves. I know I had like 2 double Nike socks. Probably look ridiculous now, but maybe that's where it's going. I don't know, once we start seeing the youth players adopt it.
So I used to wear some mid-calf socks in my spare.
Oh, yeah, so I probably still do that, honestly.
What the hell am I doing?
All right, now the life ones. Favorite class at Rutgers?
Favorite senior seminar for labor studies. My major, yeah.
Pork roll or Taylor ham?
Taylor ham. It's like, what is an Oreo? It's a chocolate covered cream sandwich, like chocolate filled cream sandwich. It's an Oreo.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Does Central Jersey exist? Why or why not?
I say Central Jersey does exist because I went to Rutgers, and that's majority of people are from Central Jersey. So you have the South Jersey, the Philly people, want to be Philly people.
Yep.
North Jersey, normal people, and then you have Central who are like just kind of hardo, want to be, I don't know if they know they're North or South or whatever they are, but those just, I don't know. The most ridiculous people come from Central Jersey, for sure.
All right. Best place to grab a bite to eat in North Jersey?
Northern Deli. Shout out Alex Schoen for that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything to get on the menu there? If I stop
the classics Godfather. It's just a chicken cutlet, bacon, mutts, Russian dressing, toasted.
Sounds good.
Sub.
I'm going to get that actually after this. Favorite Jersey Shore beach to go to?
Spring Lake, Manasquan, Seagirt area.
That's awesome. That's good for me to know because that's where my fiance's family lives and that's where I'm getting married. So I'm glad that you picked that because that actually makes me feel pretty good.
Hell yeah. Great area.
Awesome. Well, Jules has been great. Final question, you're a professional athlete now. I don't know if you had dreams of that when you were going through high school or whatever. Maybe you did, but you guys are really making it a reality that, young lacrosse players can aspire to be a professional lacrosse player. What's one piece of advice that you have for youth lacrosse players right now? I
think the biggest thing I've learned growing up is, 2 things. I would say one is most people are not going to be the most naturally talented. There's a few people. So you're going to have to work harder than everyone else, and there's going to be ups and downs. It's not going to be, it's an ebb and flow. It's not just going to be a straight line for you to get there. So it's a process. It's going to be really hard, and you're going to have people that are going to tell you, you're not going to make it, you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that. But if you really set your mind to it and that's something you want to achieve, and you really have, it's that passion, that love is there, you shouldn't ever let anyone, knock you down and tell you that you can't do it.
That's some great advice, Jules. We've really enjoyed having you on today. We hope you enjoyed it as well.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you guys all for listening to this episode of Pro Lacrosse Talk.